Hello again. This is the second video of the butterfly. So let's get started. When we left off on the first one, we had made the blue areas invisible by left clicking on the color chip, the blue color chip, which selected all the blues, and then we left clicked on the eyeball to make them invisible. We also made the image invisible. I'll just bring that back real quick. See, and we also have the grid as invisible. Those are just toggle switches, or flip-flop switches, if you prefer that word. I want to talk to you about how the program assigns a sequence number to objects. In other words, which object shows first, second, third, fourth of a given color. In other words, in this case, orange. How do we know which object is supposed to be shown first, second, third, fourth, etc.? The program has an automated function that scans from top to bottom and from left to right and picks up objects in that order. So this would be the first object because it's top down, left to right. That would be the first object, whereas the last object should be this one down here. And you can see that number 1 and number 12, they're in between are all the other numbers. So if we just follow that sequence, I'm right clicking now. By the way, the program probably is giving you a blue concentric circles or something like that that appear and disappear, and left click gives you the red circles. Okay, so I'm gonna right click there. It's first one is here, the second one is here, third, fourth, fifth, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10, 12. Okay, and it just came right down the line. So if we want to change this particular sequence, that's what I really want to talk to you about today. If you want to change that sequence, you can click on the accessories button here and you'll see two commands dealing with stitching order. Okay, or stitching sequence if you prefer that word. The optimized stitching order is, we can't use it because it uses the algorithm that we described a while ago, top down, left to right scanning. So we want to change the sequence. We don't want the same sequence, so we have to set our own set stitching order. So it gives me a little pointer hand. I'll left click to select that tool, and I left click here. It assigns number 1, number 2, and number 3, 4, 5, 6. This is a sequence that I would use. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Then I have to press the enter key to lock in that sequence. And it gives me a bunch of lines here. This is the point where I say, okay, I must ask the program to recalculate. I asked it to do it and it didn't. So I have to submit an additional command. So that additional command is actually right clicking off to the side to stop all the flashing marquees, and then pressing on the left clicking on the generate button, or pressing the F9 key will do it too. I can't press the F9 key because of the video software. It uses F9. That would really mess things up. Okay, we don't want to do that. So I hit the generate button. It recalculated, but it didn't do quite what I wanted it to do. It left some gaps in between objects here, and obviously, let me turn the stitch nodes on. Obviously, there are trims there. You can see the little scissors here, and you can look over here and you can see the little scissors between the objects. I want to turn those off and see what it does. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of them. And when I did, it gave me little jump stitches across. Little jump stitches. Those look good to me. That looks good. That looks good. Travels over to here, and that doesn't look so good to me. That one looks okay. I want to right click on this one, and I'm going to take the end tag and move it over here. When it travels from the vicinity of the out tag of this object to the vicinity of the end tag over here. So the end tag was up here, not the best place for it. So now I've done this. Now I need to right click again off to the side to stop the flashing marquees, and then I can left click on the generate button and it recalculated and gave me a more acceptable line across there. It also made it a travel stitch, very short travel stitch, but it's travel, and this is acceptable to me. I like it. One other thing I'd like to show you before we close this video is the play stitches function. This is play stitch, our stitch player. If I left click on this, it brings it to a blank screen. Because we're fixing to bring them back stitch by stitch by stitch. Okay, I'm going to left click on the middle of the screen to make sure we have the focus of the screen, and then I'm going to use the page down button. If I left click it, it gives me a few stitches at a time. If I hold it down, it just runs with it. Okay, and we're going to run with it in the interest of time here. And you can see that it did a nice job. And then it came to a point where it, if your machine has trim capability, otherwise you got to trim it yourself. My old 7575, you have to trim it yourself. I have a more modern machine too. So it trimmed, and then it jumped to start the blue. Now I can take off and do the blue. This is what we call a complex area. It's called a complex area because of the manipulation within the area to get the job done. It puts the travel stitches down first, okay, and then it starts putting down, and you never know where it's going to start. Program logic controls that somehow, some way. And then it made a short travel stitch up to a different area to do some more filling. Comes down and merges with the first area, and then it traveled all the way up to the top. There's a travel stitch there, all the way up to the top, and started backwards or back down again. And I'm using the down arrow now where you can see that. The down arrow works too, but not quite as fast. It's got one speed. The page down button moved faster. By the way, I was talking about how the down arrow works. The up arrow works too. The up arrow works in a backwards direction. If I hit hold it down up arrow, I'll see it goes backwards. But we want to go forwards, okay? And if you ever try to use the down arrow and it just don't want to seem to work, move your mouse back to the center there, somewhere on the screen, and left click the mouse, and then the down arrow will work again for you. It's a little trick, okay? It can be very frustrating if it quits working on you can't figure out why it's not working. You lost the focus of the screen because the mouse moved off the screen. So gotta have that in place. Okay, there we go. And we're just about finished. That's it, folks. Thank you for your time, and I hope you enjoyed it.